Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Andrea Rinkus. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you. Everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
And whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Even better, all of our guests are local small business owners who you can actually talk to and work with. You can learn more about today's guest and connect with hundreds of other health and wellness professionals through our informative and easy-to-use directory at motherhoodalliance.com.
Before we get started, keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal healthcare advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes based on the podcast content.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Are you ready to help your family thrive? Let's get started. Hi, we are Britt and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and we are excited to welcome you to a 4-episode series with Faith Ainsworth, who is the owner of Integrated Sensory, a wellness center in Green Bay, Wisconsin that offers a variety of play and coaching-based sensory solutions. Faith and her husband Ian started Integrated Sensory in 2021 after seeing a gap in opportunities within her local community and within her own home. As a mom of 2 young rambunctious boys, she identified early on that they needed ways to meet their own high-energy movement and sensory needs, but at the time there was nowhere for their family to go. Now, Integrated Sensory has a large and beautiful space where they host a multitude of offerings for families with or without a sensory-related diagnosis, including research-based and drug-free sensory coaching, trauma education, infrared sauna, multi-sensory spaces, open playtime, and much more. We're excited to share these episodes with you as we go deep into the topics of sensory integration and behavior, tips for parents on how to support overstimulated kids, how trauma affects the brain and body, and a deep dive into technology and how it affects the brain. Faith is beyond passionate about serving our community and meeting families right where they're at, and we can't wait for you to meet her. So let's jump into today's conversation.
Hey guys, welcome back. We are back here with Faith from Integrated Sensory. We're super excited to be talking with you today again. Faith?
Thank you.
We're really interested in this topic that we're going to be talking about, which is trauma. So when we think about trauma, we usually think about big T trauma, right? And there's lots of other kind of trauma, but let's just talk about what your definition of trauma is. Like, what is big trauma, little trauma? What is all this?
Well, it's anything that is mentally, physically, spiritually affecting the body. You can see it through major, like you said, big T trauma down to having a C-section or maybe something that happened to you as a child.
Yeah. So, I mean, like when we think of somebody that needs to get help for trauma, we think like big T trauma, like physical abuse or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Something that you were saying to us off of the mic, I guess, would be more like when you think about trauma, you can also be looking at when somebody with C-section, like you said. Mm-hmm. So like we're not just talking about like mom could also be going through trauma with a C-section, for example, but we're talking about like even the baby having to go through a traumatic birth experience as a baby. So can you tell us more about that, how that kind of relates to what you do?
Well, it's funny because it can be as much as the mom was stressed actually during pregnancy because all those hormones are syncing up in pregnancy.
For sure. It's all incorporated. Yeah.
And sometimes the stuff like a C-section was necessary because it's going to save both mom and baby's life. That being said, it doesn't mean that there's not any residual damage that happens from it. But our bodies are wonderful and that they do have the capability to make the new neural pathways to heal. So,
yeah. And so do you help with, like, if somebody has had a traumatic birth experience as a baby, what does that look like for somebody who had that? Maybe?
So where it goes down in our path, is we're looking at the primitive reflexes again. So primitive reflexes, like I can't say how much about it, that they help assist in the birthing process. They help keep the baby alive in that first year of life. But when the baby didn't get the proper care or movement, especially after that first year, that's when it starts sticking and you start seeing other things start showing up that most people don't fully understand.
What are some, so if you're talking about, and I never want to make any sort of trauma feel like lesser, right?
Correct.
So, but if we're not talking about big, obvious, somebody is like, I have been traumatized in this specific situation, but like, what are some symptoms someone might see if they are holding trauma within their body, but they don't even realize it?
And I will say that everybody has a story and everybody's story is valid. Just because it's different or diagnosis is different or non-diagnosis doesn't mean it's not just as valid. So in regards to your question, if it's not something that they would typically think of, I mean, I think our childhood is a big one of it. Different attachment parenting styles. Maybe you had so TBRI actually goes more into it where it's like an avoidant attachment or trying to think what the other ones are right now, but the different kinds, because maybe your needs weren't met, and it kind of comes down cyclical from generation to generation because we don't know what we're not taught. So it can be as simple as that.
What would be some symptoms someone would see or like feel to recognize that there's a problem?
We'll go into sensory.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, we were talking a little bit about how sometimes you get easy sensory overload where just like you get that point with your kids and you're like, oh my gosh, please stop talking. I'm going to explode.
Right.
You might have some sensory things too, and that's okay. But what are some ways that you can do it without passing that on to your kids?
Oh, yeah.
So then how does sensory coaching come into play with helping to heal from trauma specifically? How does that help?
So I will say this is why we work with adults as well, because more than likely you probably have some unintegrated things and some nutritional pieces. Because I feel like especially when we get into like parenthood and motherhood, our needs get put like on the under part because we're constantly trying to go for our kids. But having the balance of loving our little ones and caring for them in the best way possible, but making sure that your cup stays filled too.
So then when someone is coming in for sensory coaching, you can help them to rebuild those neurological connections within their body?
Correct.
Okay. So to walk us through what that, how does that scientifically work and how does that actually like help them with the like healing process from their trauma? How does that actually help them function within life? And I don't want to say move past because trauma is trauma and it, you know, things stay within your body all the time.
Make it less of a trigger.
Yes. How do you do that?
I mean, really, it's about making the new movement, but then the nutrition as well.
Okay.
So,
are you saying that because you've brought up nutrition a couple times now?
Yeah.
So is the nutrition almost like the higher end here, and the movement piece is a little bit on the second tier?
So I'm going to let you know, I have some clients where like they were literally punching holes in walls and grandma was like, she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I think you really need to try the supplement with him. And he was like he's been like kicked out of places and things like that. And she's like night and day difference.
Really?
Just by adding that one thing in.
And it didn't take long, I assume, either.
No, she was like, can I give it to him every day? And that's where we use other methodologies and things like that.
Yeah.
I follow all different kinds of people, more on the genetic side of things. And they were able to help decipher, and again, educating, right, to make the best recommendation for them. But yes, he is doing phenomenally well. He normally refuses to take everything. In fact, the initial assessment, we normally video them.
Okay.
And he actually like threatened to break my iPad in half, and now he's like a delight to be around.
Oh my gosh. And I'm sure like he probably notices this huge difference in himself too, and how he's treating people, how people are reacting to him.
Well, yeah. So he's a very tall kid for like his age. And so normally like even like adults have felt threatened by him. And now he just used his words to be able to tell the school to say like, hey, when I'm dysregulated, this is what I need. Let's work out a system and go from there.
Whoa.
And we're kidding. And like grandma's okay with me talking because she actually shared all of this if you want to check out our reels.
That's awesome.
From like he faced like molestation from a known family member, all the way through to like he was in the foster care system where he got rejected out of a foster home to now, and he was in like, I think she said he was like 8. And he went through like a foster care training program for 13 months worth, where it's all a bunch of juvenile kids, to now they work with the TBI practitioner as well. And then coming here, and she's like, he used to be just like totally zoned into the TV. Now she's like, you want to go ride 4-wheelers? And his eyes lights up. He throws the remote and goes and runs and plays.
That's amazing.
So, and we are the thing that he changed.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
So nutrition was changed.
Yep.
And then sensory coaching, as in like the movement based stuff. So those are the two things that changed for him.
And probably too, like he's able to advocate for himself.
Correct.
That's huge.
Correct. So yes, those are the biggest things. Those are the only things that the family has changed within like 3 or 4 months. That the grandma's like, they will be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you offer nutrition coaching outside of the play side, or the sensory coaching side?
Not at this point, but it's something that we're going to look with the genetic stuff in the future.
Okay. And obviously they can go hand in hand, but I'm just
Correct.
thinking if somebody really just needs the nutrition side and not so much the facility, the gym side,
Yep.
Or
then
not
that could
as
be-
much. Yeah.
Yeah. But when it comes to trauma, obviously this is a journey that can be a long journey. It can be a shorter journey depending on the type of trauma someone experienced, but you're not the only professional that should probably be involved in their life,
No.
especially for some of the bigger T-trauma stuff. So do you have like a network of referrals that you can help people connect with other professionals, whether it's mental health counselors or anything else? Like, how do you work with other professionals to make sure that these people are getting their needs met?
So, I mean, obviously you guys are a big resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
finding somebody that's trauma informed, but yes, finding a trauma informed counselor, doing things like EMDR or brain spotting. Another one that I've heard and found really beneficial to the system is called cranial sacral therapy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of people that we know that do that. Yeah.
And that, because really, like, when your body is in a heightened state all the time, like, you got to do what you can do to get your nervous system to calm back down.
For sure.
So I don't have anything like super specific in it, and everybody like is different in the areas they're in. So
yeah.
For sure. So you can, for those of you who are interested in learning more about those types of specialists, you can just go on the Motherhood Alliance website, motherhoodalliance.com, and then in the directory, you could type in like cranial sacral therapy and you can see the people locally who offer that. So that is great.
Well, what I find interesting too is as a mom, I have found there's a lot more things that do trigger me. And I feel like even just maybe experience or just talking to people like you or other people in like the Motherhood Alliance, I've become more aware of like, there are things that I can work on, right? Or how I react to my kids overstimulating me, or what is my triggers or whatever. It's just really interesting to think about how motherhood has really pulled out some more awareness for myself. And I think that a lot of people just, if you're not even aware that there might be a problem or that you can change something to make your life better, that's something to be aware of too.
Kids have a great way of showing all the really like hard, dirty spots on us.
And if they know it, they'll tell you.
Yeah, they're really good at pushing the buttons too.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. But it's also something that for me personally that I need to work on.
Well, and it's taking the time to slow down and self-reflect.
Yes, self-reflection.
I want to share just one story that I heard from somebody. He was actually up in Door County in the crisis manager. So, and I'll make it as fast as possible. So there was, it was a mouse in like a cat in a box. Now the mouse went, and obviously like it didn't, it freaked out, and because the cat was trying to eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they grabbed the mouse, that mouse's baby. They put just a hair in the box with that mouse's baby. Well, there is actual like memories that have been passed on. There's actually studies being shown about why is that mouse's baby that's never experienced the trauma from the cat still responding to the trauma from the cat.
Mm.
And then it goes on and on and on until somebody chooses to break that cycle. So I can't remember what the technical terms are with it, but there has been studies that have been done like that. So why would you be afraid of the cat hair when you don't really know what the cat is, because you've never experienced the cat?
It's interesting. I mean, that's all genetic kind of passing on that you would not be aware of. That is, and you can kind of see that with some families too. Like you being an outsider in, I mean, some people might be able to think of families, they might be able to apply that thought too.
I like to think of like the feuds down south or like Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, sure.
They were feuding families, but not as much as Romeo and Juliet, but they knew that they were opposed to each other and that it's like 5 generations down the line and they're still feuding and nobody in the heck knows why they're still feuding, but they still are. Why? I do think it comes down to a genetic factor and epigenetics.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff is so new and it's just being researched now.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said too about, how something might happen. Like you might react to something or whatever, but it has to do with like your family, how they brought you up and genetics and stuff like that. But like you said, if you're able to recognize that and become aware of it and get help for it to break that cycle, because there's a lot of cycles that should be broken within families to help them become better and then help their kids become better. So there's
100%.
definitely something to say about that.
You don't have to live in what you were brought up in.
Yeah.
All you can do is do better to break what was.
So how do you actually break it? How do you break that cycle? So in the example of the cat and mouse type thing, you said it goes on for it can go on for generation until somebody breaks it. Is that, can breaking that trauma essentially, or breaking that out of your genetics, be done through talk therapy along with nutritional practices? Like, how do you actually do that?
I mean, I believe so. I think when you bring the darkness to light, there's a lot of things that they can be broken, then you're not going to be passing it on to your kid. Again,
awareness,
correct.
Right? Just having an understanding that there's something that's not right here that needs to that needs to change, and then seeking that help, right?
Right.
Yeah, that first step.
Yeah, so you can definitely be a key piece of helping somebody recover and heal, whether it's something that they went through themselves or it's something that's gone through their genetics, right?
The sensory side, we can help out with that.
Yeah.
So, and just understanding what the trauma did to the body as well. So
awesome. Do you guys have social media platforms that people could follow you on?
Yes, we are currently on Facebook, Instagram, and we're kind of getting there with TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if they wanted to contact you to just talk through a little bit about what they heard today and how you can help them in their journey, where would they contact you?
They can just call us at our main line at the 920-646-2582 or email us at greenbay@integrated-sensory.com.
Perfect. All right. And then in our last episode with Faith, we're going to be diving into kind of a completely different topic. This one's going to be really interesting and talking about technology and the brain. So that will be our next episode coming up.
If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.